The town was quiet that morning. A cool wind passed through the trees. Shops were just opening. Kids walked to school, holding their lunchboxes. Everything looked normal. But today was not a normal day. Michael Carter, a Black Army veteran, was coming home. After 6 years of service, 2 of them spent in war, he was finally free. His uniform was clean, his boots old, but his eyes? They had seen too much. He stepped off the bus carrying just one bag. Some people at the bus stop clapped. A few even thanked him. "Welcome back, soldier." Michael smiled politely, but his face stayed calm. His heart felt heavy. Not because he was tired, but because home no longer felt like home. Flashback, 8 years ago, Michael was 20 when he joined the army. His mother had cried at the door. "Come back alive, baby," she said, holding his hand tightly. "I promise," he had whispered. And now at 28, he had kept that promise. But something inside him had changed forever. Present day, homecoming. Michael walked down the old street he grew up on. He passed the basketball court where he used to play. It was empty now, broken glass on the ground. He reached his mother's house. The door opened before he could knock. His mom rushed out, tears in her eyes. "My boy," she cried, hugging him tightly. "You're home." He held her close for a long time. "I missed you, Mama." Inside, the house smelled like cornbread and hope. His little sister, now a teenager, smiled shyly from the kitchen. "You look different," she said. Michael laughed. "So do you. You've grown." They spent the evening talking, laughing, and eating. But behind his smile, Michael's mind stayed restless. Later that night, Michael sat on the porch alone, staring at the stars. Something didn't feel right. Across the street, a black car parked. 2 men sat inside. They didn't get out. They just watched. Michael noticed, but said nothing. The next morning, he woke up early and went for a run, just like in the army. The car was still there. He slowed down and looked at it. The windows were tinted. No license plate on the front. Something felt wrong. 2 days later, the knock. Michael was helping his mother in the kitchen when there was a loud knock on the door. 3 police officers stood outside. "Michael Carter?" one of them asked. "Yes. You need to come with us." "For what?" he asked, confused. "You're under arrest." His mother stepped forward. "What? What's going on?" "He just got home." The officer didn't answer. Michael raised his hands. "I didn't do anything." They handcuffed him. As he was led to the police car, neighbors stared. Some whispered, some recorded with their phones. Michael looked at his mother one last time. Her hands covered her mouth. Tears rolled down her cheeks. At the police station, Michael sat in a cold room. No one explained anything. No lawyer, no phone call, just silence. Finally, a tall officer entered. He sat across the table and opened a folder. "You're being charged with conspiracy and leaking military secrets," the officer said. Michael's mouth opened in shock. "What? That's a lie. I didn't leak anything." The officer leaned in. "You were in the wrong place at the wrong time, soldier. You saw things you weren't supposed to." Michael's heart pounded. His mind raced back to a memory. A mission in the desert, a building, something strange inside. Documents, voices, a warning. He had forgotten. But now, it was coming back. Ending hook. As the officer stood to leave, he said one more thing. "You were a hero, Carter. But heroes don't always stay heroes. Sometimes, they disappear." The door closed behind him. Michael sat in silence, heart pounding. He whispered to himself, "What did I see?" The metal door slammed shut. Michael Carter sat on the cold bench, hands cuffed, eyes staring at the wall. His heart still raced. The words from the officer kept echoing in his head. "You saw things you weren't supposed to." But what did that mean? He had been loyal, brave, honest. He didn't steal anything. He didn't leak anything. So why was he here? He looked around the tiny cell. 4 gray walls, a small bed, a broken sink, no window. It felt nothing like the army. It felt like a trap. Hours passed. Nobody came. No food, no water, No questions answered. Michael thought about his mom. Was she okay? Was she scared? Did she believe he was innocent? Of course she did. But the world outside didn't know the truth, and Michael couldn't tell them, because he didn't even understand it himself. Flashback. The mission. His memory pulled him back to that day in the desert. A secret mission. No cameras, no witnesses. Michael and his team were ordered to enter an old building near a military base. Inside, they found locked doors, strange computers, and crates with symbols. They were told, take pictures, leave nothing behind. But Michael had opened one of the crates. Just for a second. Inside was a file with red letters. Top secret. Unauthorized exposure punishable by federal law. He shut it immediately. He never told anyone. Until now. No one knew. Or so he thought. Back in the cell door opened suddenly. A new man walked in, bigger than the first. He wore a guard uniform, but didn't say a word. He dropped a small tray with cold food. Michael stood up. Why am I here? The guard looked at him with a smirk. People like you don't ask questions. Michael stepped closer. I fought for this country. The guard laughed. Yeah. Well, now this country fights you. He walked out. The door slammed again. Later that night, Michael sat in darkness. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Then silence. Then a whisper. St. Carter. Michael stood quickly. A voice came from the next cell. I know why you're here, the man said. Michael stepped close to the wall. Who are you? Name's Derek, ex-military, just like you. I've been in here for 3 years. No trial, no lawyer. Michael was shocked. Why? I saw something too. Something they didn't want me to see. Same as you, I bet. Michael felt a chill. What do they want? He asked. They want your silence. Or your confession. Doesn't matter if it's true. They need someone to blame. The next morning, Michael woke up to paper being slid under his door. It was a printed statement. At the top, confession document. Signature required. Michael read it. It said he admitted to stealing files and giving them to a foreign group. It was a complete lie. At the bottom was a space for his name. Michael's hands shook. Then he noticed something strange. A small handwritten note on the back of the paper. Just one sentence. Don't sign. Help is coming. His heart stopped. Who wrote it? A guard? Another prisoner? The voice next door. He turned the note over again and again. It felt like hope, or maybe another trick. That afternoon, a tall woman in a dark suit walked into the jail. Her badge read, FBI, Agent Rachel Carter. She spoke to the front desk, showed her files, and walked with purpose. 2 guards followed her to Michael's cell. She looked through the bars. Calm. Serious. You're Michael Carter? Yes. I need to talk to you. Alone. The guards looked at each other. She raised her badge. Now. They opened the door and left. Agent Carter stepped in and sat across from him. I know you didn't leak anything, she said softly. Michael looked at her, confused. Then why am I here? She paused. Because you were in the wrong place, at a very wrong time, and someone powerful wants your name off the record. Michael stared at her. I don't understand. Agent Carter leaned closer. You're not a prisoner, Michael. You're a threat. Not to the people, but to the secrets they're trying to hide. Michael's eyes widened. She looked around, lowered her voice, and whispered, If you want to live, you need to remember exactly what you saw in that building. Michael Carter sat in silence after the FBI agent left. Her words stayed in his mind like an echo. You're not a prisoner. You're a threat to their secrets. But whose secrets? And why him? He had served with honor. He had done everything right. So why was he sitting in a jail cell, treated like a criminal? He leaned his head back against the wall. He needed answers. Fast. That night, the prison was quiet. Too quiet. Michael couldn't sleep. Every sound made him alert. Every footstep. Every whisper down the hall. Then the voice returned. Carter, you still awake? It was Derek, the ex-military man in the next cell. Michael answered, Yeah. Derek said softly, I heard the agent came. FBI, right? Michael didn't answer. You don't have to tell me, Derek continued. But if she's FBI, that means someone high up is nervous. That's a good sign. Michael walked closer to the wall. Why are you still here if you know the truth? Derek laughed bitterly. Because I spoke the truth, and they punished me for it. Michael asked, what did you see? There was silence. Then Derek whispered, I saw something I wasn't supposed to, same as you. A secret mission. Files. Experiments. A base that didn't officially exist. Michael froze. He remembered that base too. Flashback. 2 years ago, Michael and his team had entered a desert zone. They were told it was just a training post. But when they arrived, there were no signs of training. There were scientists, computers, and locked rooms. One soldier whispered, this doesn't feel like army business. They weren't allowed to take pictures. But Michael remembered one thing clearly, a file cabinet marked Operation Whisper. He had opened one folder. It mentioned chemical testing, human experiments, covered in red stamps. Classified, eyes only. He shut it and never spoke of it again. Until now. Back in the cell, Michael told Derek what he saw. Derek didn't sound surprised. That's what they're hiding, he said. We were tools, and now we're threats. But someone inside wants to help. That note you got? Someone's trying to save you. Michael felt a mix of fear and hope. Then why not just get me out? Because if they move too fast, they lose their jobs. Or worse, you're stuck in a game, Carter. And right now, you're the piece they want off the board. The next morning, Michael was taken to a small room again. This time, there were 2 men in black suits. They didn't smile. One placed a new confession form in front of him. You sign this, the man said, and all of this ends. You'll be home in days. We'll even protect your family. Michael looked at the paper. It was another lie. I didn't do anything, he said. The man leaned forward. No one will believe you. A decorated soldier turned traitor. It makes for a good story. Michael looked him in the eye. You're scared. That's why I'm still alive. The man stood up, face red with anger. You'll regret this. They left without another word. That evening, back in his cell, Michael found something new under his pillow. It was a small photo. Old. Torn at the edge. It showed a young soldier standing near that secret base. Michael turned it over. On the back, someone had written, "Proof still exists. Trust no one but her." His hands shook. He looked around. Cameras were watching. But someone had still slipped this to him. Was it Agent Carter? Was she the only one he could trust? Voices return. That night, Derek whispered again. Tomorrow, something's going to happen. I heard the guards talking. What kind of something? Michael asked. Maybe a transfer. Maybe something worse. You need to be ready. Michael sat up straight. He asked, "Why are you helping me?" There was a long pause. Then Derek said, "Because no one helped me when I needed it. And I won't let them break another good man." Michael Carter sat up quickly. He had just heard the sound. A key turning softly in the cell lock. His heart beat fast. His hands were ready. The cell door opened slowly, and a figure stepped in. It was Agent Rachel Carter. She wore no badge this time. No suit. Just a black hoodie and jeans. She looked serious. "Get up," she whispered. Michael stood. "What's going on?" "No time. If we wait, you'll disappear like the others." They moved fast. Rachel led him through a side hallway, using a card to unlock silent doors. The cameras were off. "Did you do this?" Michael asked. Rachel nodded. "I've been watching you for days. And now, it's time you learned the truth." They passed through a narrow hallway. Michael noticed the walls. No signs, no numbers. Just cold concrete. They entered a hidden room. It was small, with one computer, a map, and files stacked on a table. Rachel locked the door behind them. "This is the only place they don't monitor," she said. Michael looked around. "What is this place?" Rachel opened one of the folders. "It's the real story behind Operation Whisper," she said. The truth revealed. Rachel explained everything. Operation Whisper was a secret government program, one that had been buried deep. 10 years ago, a group of scientists started testing a special gas. They said it could help soldiers stay awake longer, stay stronger under stress. But things went wrong. Soldiers began to act strange. Some forgot who they were. Some became violent. Some died. It was covered up. But a few soldiers, like Michael, were sent near the testing sites without being told. "You were never meant to see the files," Rachel said. "But once you opened that cabinet, you became a risk." Michael's hands trembled. "I didn't know. I never told anyone." "They don't care," she said. "The system just wants to stay hidden. You knowing is enough." Flashback. The soldier lost. Michael remembered a man from his unit, Private James Ray. He had started acting strange after the mission. Nervous, talking to himself. 2 weeks later, he disappeared. They told the unit he quit and went home. But Michael knew that wasn't true. Now it made sense. They erased him. Back to the present. Michael pointed at the map. "What's this?" he asked. Rachel showed him a red circle. "It's the last known location of the test base. It was shut down, or so they say." She pulled out a photo. It was blurry, but showed men in suits entering a building. This was taken 2 months ago. They're still using the place. Michael felt anger rise in his chest. So all this time, they kept lying. Rachel nodded. "And now, they want you gone before the truth comes out. A dangerous plan." Rachel looked at him seriously. "There's one way to stop this, but it's dangerous." Michael asked, "What is it?" "You go back to the base," she said. "Get proof. Real proof. Something they can't hide." Michael was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Let's do it." Rachel handed him a file. "You'll need this. It has names, dates, everything they don't want the world to see." "But how do we get out of here?" Michael asked. Rachel smiled slightly. "Already handled. Escape begins." Rachel led him down another hallway, deeper underground. They reached a metal door. She tapped a code, and it opened into a tunnel. "This connects to the old train system. It hasn't been used in years." They ran through the tunnel, boots echoing softly. Every step felt like freedom. Every breath felt like risk. At the end, a small van waited. Inside was a driver, quiet, focused. Rachel said, "He doesn't talk, just drives." Michael climbed in. As the van pulled away, he looked back at the prison one last time. He had entered it as a hero. Now, he was leaving as a hunted man with the truth. Ending hook. Rachel opened her laptop and showed him one last file. It was a video, a short clip. In it, Private James Ray, the missing soldier, was strapped to a chair in a dark room. He looked broken, scared. He said one thing before the video cut. "They're testing it again, and this time, no one's getting out." Michael's blood ran cold. He looked at Rachel. "We have to stop them." Rachel nodded. "Then let's end Operation Whisper." The van drove fast through empty roads. Michael Carter stared out the window. His heart beat heavy in his chest. After years of silence, after weeks locked in a prison cell, he was finally heading back to the place where it all began, the secret military base. Rachel, the FBI agent, sat beside him with a laptop on her lap. Her eyes were sharp, always scanning. She didn't talk much, but Michael could feel her focus. She was risking her career, maybe even her life, for the truth. The journey begins. The road to the base was long, dry, and empty. Desert stretched in every direction. The sky was gray, as if the clouds knew something bad was coming. Michael thought about the last time he had seen the base. It was hidden behind a hill, surrounded by fences and guards. Back then, it looked like a normal training ground. But now, he knew better. Now, he knew it was a place of secrets, of lies, of pain. Rachel breaks the silence. "We can't go through the front gate," she said. "Then how?" Michael asked. She opened a map and pointed. "There's a broken fence near the old supply tunnel. It's been ignored for years." Michael nodded. "That's where we entered last time. On the mission." Rachel handed him a small earpiece. "Stay close. If we lose signal, Wait exactly 5 minutes. Then move to checkpoint 2. Michael looked at her. How many checkpoints are there? Rachel didn't blink. 4. And only one way out. Reaching the base, they stopped the van behind a hill. Michael and Rachel stepped out. The wind was dry. Sand blew across their boots. Michael looked ahead. There it was. The base. Still standing. Still guarded. Still full of shadows. He took a deep breath. This is it. They moved quietly through the dry grass and reached the broken fence. It was just like Rachel said, rusted, bent, and unguarded. They crawled under it and entered the compound. Inside the base, everything was quiet. Too quiet. They walked along the edge of the building, avoiding lights and cameras. Rachel whispered, "The lab is in the West Wing. That's where the test files are stored." Michael remembered that wing. It had thick doors and strange smells. Back then, they were told, "Stay out. That area's off limits." Now he knew why. They reached the lab door. It was locked with a keypad. Rachel tapped quickly. Beep. The door opened with a soft click. They stepped inside. The lab. It looked the same. Cold, metallic, empty. But Michael saw things he hadn't seen before. A chair with leather straps. Glass tubes with wires. Photos on the wall of soldiers. Some of them were his old team members. He walked to a file cabinet, pulled a drawer. Inside were folders marked. Subject 9A, James Ray. Subject 12C, failed test. Subject 15B, mental collapse. Michael's hands shook. He opened one. It was James. The report said, subject showed signs of memory loss, fear, and uncontrollable shaking. Terminated from program, no public record. Michael's eyes filled with tears. They erased him, he whispered. Rachel whispered back, "This is the proof. Take photos. All of it." Footsteps. Suddenly, a noise. Footsteps in the hallway. Rachel grabbed Michael's arm. Hide. They ducked behind a large metal desk. 2 men walked in, black suits, armed. They looked around. One said, "Security camera glitch again?" The other answered, "Yeah. Could be someone inside. Search everything." Michael held his breath. The guards walked past the desk, so close he could hear one chewing gum. Then, the radio on the guard's shoulder buzzed. "Come to the east gate. Possible breach." The men rushed out. Rachel stood up fast. "We have 5 minutes. Maybe less. Escape." They ran. Through the hallway. Back to the tunnel. But as they reached the broken fence, Michael heard a sound. A voice. Weak, dry. "Michael?" He froze. He turned. There, behind a wire gate, was a man. Thin. Pale. Beard overgrown. It was James Ray. Michael's eyes widened. "James?" James held the bars. "You came back." Michael ran to him. "You're alive." James nodded slowly. "Barely. They said I was dead, but I remember you." Rachel whispered, "We have to move." Michael looked at her, then back at James. "I'm not leaving him." Rachel hesitated, then nodded. "Help me get the gate open." The van sped through the night. Inside, Michael held his old friend James Ray, who was too weak to sit on his own. His skin was pale, his eyes were tired, but he was alive. Rachel drove fast, checking the mirror every few seconds. "We have to disappear before they track us," she said. Michael nodded, holding James tighter. "He needs help. Food. Water." Rachel handed him a bottle. "We'll get him to safety first. Then we release the truth." Safe house. They stopped at a hidden safe house in the mountains. It was quiet, cold, far from any city. Inside, Rachel set up a laptop, connecting it to a secret network. Michael helped James into a bed. James whispered, "They thought I was broken, but I kept one thing safe." Michael leaned in. "What?" James pulled a small flash drive from around his neck. It was dirty, scratched, but protected. "It has video, audio, everything from inside the base. I recorded it before they locked me away." Rachel took the flash drive, eyes wide. This is what we needed. Upload begins. Rachel inserted the drive into her laptop. The files opened. Videos of soldiers screaming in labs. Secret meetings between officers. Voice recordings of orders to silence witnesses. A document titled, Phase 2, Civil Testing. Michael's eyes went wide. They were planning to use it on civilians. Rachel nodded. This is bigger than military now. This is government-level corruption. Going public. Rachel opened a secure link to a group of journalists. They've been waiting for something like this, but it has to come from a real person, someone who was there. She turned to Michael. You need to speak. Michael's heart beat fast. He was just a soldier, not a politician, not a lawyer. But he looked at James, broken but brave. He looked at the files, proof of pain and betrayal. And he knew he had to be the voice. Michael speaks out. Rachel turned on the camera. Michael sat in front of it, nervous but strong. He began to speak. My name is Michael Carter. I'm a veteran, and I was part of Operation Whisper. He spoke for 20 minutes. He told everything. About the mission, about the gas experiments, about his prison time, about James, about the files. He ended with, we serve to protect this country, but who protects us when the country turns against us? I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for truth. The world needs to know what they did and what they're still doing. Rachel uploaded the video. It was live in minutes. The world reacts. Within an hour, news outlets picked up the video. Social media exploded. Hashtag Justice for James. Hashtag Operation Whisper. Hashtag Truth for Veterans. People were shocked, angry, heartbroken. Protesters stood outside government buildings. Veterans came forward, saying they too had seen strange things during their service. But not everyone was happy. Danger returns. Rachel's laptop buzzed. She read the message and froze. They're coming. Michael stood up. Who? Not just military. Private agents. The ones who clean up when things go public. James whispered from the bed. They'll erase us, just like they tried before. Rachel grabbed her bag. We need to leave now. A plan to stay ahead. Michael said, we can't keep running. Rachel nodded. We won't. I sent the files to 10 trusted reporters. Even if we disappear, the truth won't. She turned to Michael. You changed the game. Now they're scared. Michael looked down at James. Then he looked outside at the rising sun. Then let them come, he said. We're not running. Not anymore. Ending hook. Just then, headlights appeared on the dirt road. A black car. Then another. And another. Rachel looked at Michael. It's time. Michael clenched his fists. If they want silence, they picked the wrong soldier. He stepped outside, ready to face them. Not as a victim, but as a whistleblower. Michael Carter stood outside the safe house. The cold mountain wind brushed his face. In front of him, 3 black cars stopped. Doors opened. Men in suits stepped out, silent, armed, cold. Rachel stepped beside Michael. She whispered, they're not police, not official. They work in the shadows. Michael didn't blink, then let them see my face. Behind them, inside the house, James Ray struggled to sit up. He watched through the window, fear in his tired eyes. Rachel held up her phone. The live stream is still running. Every second is being broadcast. Michael nodded. Good. Let the world see what happens next. The confrontation. One of the suited men stepped forward. He didn't smile. He said, you have stolen classified material. Hand it over. Michael stepped forward. I haven't stolen anything. I've shown the truth. And now everyone knows it. The man's voice grew cold. You can still walk away, say nothing more, disappear. Michael's voice was steady. I already disappeared once. Not this time. Rachel hit record again. The camera was live, streaming to thousands. The man noticed. He looked around, saw the red blinking light on the phone. He knew they were being watched. He stepped back, speaking into his earpiece. Michael stared him down. Backup arrives. Suddenly, a roar in the distance. Tires on gravel. A jeep pulled in fast, then another. Local law enforcement with flashing lights. Behind them, more vehicles. Journalists, veterans, supporters. People who saw Michael's video and came looking for answers. Some held signs. One read, "We stand with Michael Carter." The agents looked around. They were surrounded. The silence was loud. The lead man growled, "This isn't over." Michael replied, "It just started." James speaks. Inside the house, James stood slowly. Rachel helped him outside. He faced the crowd, weak but brave. He raised his voice. "They locked me away because I knew the truth, but I never forgot. Michael saved me, and now I remember everything." He held up the flash drive. "This is their fear, not us. The truth is their greatest enemy." The crowd clapped, some cried. Even the officers looked moved. Government response. Hours later, news channels everywhere showed the footage. The government was forced to respond. They opened an investigation into Operation Whisper. High-ranking officials were removed from their positions. The president made a public statement. "We failed our heroes, and we will make it right." Michael watched from a hospital room, where James was now recovering. He didn't smile. Not yet. He knew the fight wasn't over, but the silence was broken. A new mission. Rachel joined him at the window. She said, "You changed things." Michael shook his head. "We did. All of us." Rachel handed him a folder. Inside were letters. Dozens. From other veterans, families, people who had suffered in silence. Michael looked up. So many. Rachel smiled. "They trust you now. They want your voice." Michael looked outside. The world was still broken, but now it was listening. 1 year later, Michael stood on a stage in front of thousands. He was no longer a prisoner, no longer forgotten. He was now a voice for those who couldn't speak. He looked into the camera and said, "This isn't just about one mission. It's about every person who gave their life to protect this country and was left behind. I was jailed without cause, but the truth set me free." The crowd stood in silence, then clapped.